Today we are doing a build overview of a really special OBS truck. This is a SEMA truck from the 90s that has stayed true to what truck culture was back then, and it's almost like a time capsule that's got some history to it. And I wanted to go ahead and show you guys and talk to the owner to kind of give us details on how this all came to be. So for everybody out there, introduce yourself for those that don't know you.
My name's Kerry Bewley from Avon, Indiana. I'm the builder, owner of Project Indy, and had a hot rod shop, mini truck shop for years called Bewley's Body Works in Brownsburg, Indiana. In that shop, we really built a lot of mini trucks, sport trucks, the SEMA vehicles, promotional vehicles. Okay. That was a big thing for us. We also did a lot of race cars and things like that also. The big focus was the custom cars and really specifically the mini truck and trucking scene.
And how'd you get into that? Where'd that start?
It really started at a young age. My first vehicle was '81 Chevy Love.
Okay.
Mini truck. Before I even had my driver's license, we had it lowered, painted. Back then there wasn't many things you could buy or do for them, but mounted the mirrors up high like the Ferraris did, and put a wing mirror inside and moon disc covers. So that really, being my first vehicle, being a mini truck, and really wanting to have what I was following in the magazines. That's what really, just getting that magazine and seeing it at the grocery store is what got me really into the mini trucks and what I wanted to build and be part of.
Got you hooked on it, huh?
It was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad.
And then, so from that point to when, did you own your body shop when you built this, or?
Yeah, this was, and when I say own it, I was always with my family. Me and my uncle, me and my dad and uncle all started it and did it and up until the end. But yeah, we did that. I'm sure we'll talk about this. I leased this vehicle and built it, and my original plan was to build it as a promotional vehicle for our business. My dad and uncle had already had a business going that I was involved with, but we didn't do much custom stuff. It was more of the run-of-the-mill rust repair, collision work, race cars, fiberglass work, things like that. But with that being said, when I got into it, I was already into this. So we built my Chevy Love, and then I just kept wanting to go further and further and further.
So what year did you buy this truck in?
1995, September of 1995.
Okay.
But it is a 96 model truck. It's a Vortec truck, which is the different engine and the rounded dash. So it is a 96 model.
Right. And going into it, did you already have an idea of kind of what the build was going to be, or?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So really, I went out specifically looking for a black extended cab, short bed Chevy truck. I had already, with a couple friends, put a rendering together of what I wanted it to look like. I was down to trying to find the vehicle, and I was always a bigger guy, and I always towed a trailer with something, so I needed a full-size vehicle. But I was a mini trucker at heart.
So that's kind of the inspiration for the paint job, and being lowered and everything.
Yeah, that just, in my opinion, you cannot get a vehicle low enough the way they are.
Especially
you can ask
OBS.
my kids, they bring the four-wheel drive stuff around, and their friends do, and I understand it, but it's just not for me.
That's fair.
I respect it and understand all the work it takes, but to me, if it can drive an inch off the ground and tow a trailer and do everything that it's supposed to do, that's fine.
All you need?
That's all I need.
So coming around to the side of the truck, you can really see how it stands out from other builds, right? You got this custom paint job, and you got these Billet specialty wheels, is that right?
That's correct. They're called the Indies.
Okay, and you mentioned that these were one of ones. They've never made another one cut like this, right?
Yeah, so basically back then, from my understanding, they made one set for each size, 16, 17, and 18. These are the 17-inch ones that they made back in the day. These are still the original ones that were on the truck. You
were telling me about a story behind these wheels, which we're gonna dive into selling the truck and getting it back. But now, let's talk about how you got these wheels back.
Yeah, so these were the original wheels on the truck. And then when I took the truck back to SEMA in '99, Weld Racing made me a set of one-off 20s. Okay. And that was on the truck, and as we'll find out, I sold the truck, and when I got it back, it had different wheels on it. Some spinning wheels that were just not right for the truck. Poking around, digging around, my friend Toby, that I sold these wheels to in 1990, 98, 99, still had them.
Wow.
And sold them back to me for what I sold them to him for back then. They were still the same tires, dust covers, wheels, valve stems, everything from back then. So these are the ones that were on the truck.
And you sold it in 98. You sold the wheels in 98.
Yep.
When did you get them back?
When I found the truck in 2018, so I got them back from him 2018, 2019.
So almost 20, it's like 20 years later.
Yeah.
That's pretty lucky.
Yeah.
Especially to keep it, the way that you want it now that you have it back.
Oh,
to be able to still be able to buy them back from the original person that you sold them to.
Yeah, to know that, like those dust covers were the original ones we made. We had made some over the years and sold them and things like that, but those were the first ones, and like the checkered dust covers is really what I'm talking about. That was a trend that was popular back then, but the reason I did it is I couldn't afford to put big brakes on this truck, and big brakes were not a thing back then. We didn't have those options. So but for me, I did not like seeing the brakes through the wheels, and I didn't want to paint the suspension like a cartoon truck.
Right.
Yeah, the painting your suspension different colors and different, it just was not for me. I didn't like that look. So this was what I come up with to hide the brakes and still be able to see the wheel and not lose the wheel.
And have something still stand out underneath without, like you said, having to paint the frame or suspension or anything like that. What inspired you to paint this truck? The checkered stripes along the side, and what's going on right here for the people that don't know?
First off, I'm from Indianapolis. I raced go-karts for a long time, from the time I was 5 to like 21. Racing, being around it is in my life. My grandparents work at the Indy 500, or did back then. They retired from there. My shop painted race cars for the Indy 500. So racing is deep in our heritage. This is, like I said, late 95. And in 93, Chevy had a pace truck that everybody knows about, the OBS pace truck. Well, this is my version of a pace truck, of what I wanted to build as a pace truck if I had my option, with a mini truck twist to it, sport truck twist to it. My plan was always to make it timeless, clean, but still to get the racing look to it, and that's where the Project Indy name came from also, all the racing being, and back then everybody, when they were building a vehicle, called it Project so-and-so, Project, Kimosabi, Project whatever, there's so many different names for everybody, okay? So Project Indy just seemed, I kept wanting everybody to know I was from Indianapolis, because when I debuted this truck at the first show and multiple shows, a lot of people thought I was from California. Okay. Because this really had a California theme and style to it. And so that was the reason for the Indy and the checkers and all that. It was to tie all that in, because I quit racing go-karts to follow my dream of having a business and building mini trucks.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure you've done like a photo shoot at the Indy 500 with this truck, right?
We've done one by the tower. My goal has always been to have this on the start-finish line at the Indy 500 for a photo shoot. Back in the day, it wasn't as big a priority for me, and that was a whole lot easier to do back then. I should have did it, because now that Penske's bought the place, it's like Fort Knox, and I can't get it in there. We've tried. Multiple people have been trying to get it on the start-finish line for me, and it's disappointing to me that the first racetrack that this got to go around was Talladega, and it wasn't with a big pack of people. It was by ourselves. Me and my wife got to drive it around, and it was really awesome.
Got the checkered stripes, and then so the other colors.
There's the only reason the other colors are on here was this was the style in the 90s. Making the truck have movement while it was sitting still was important to me. That's why the checkers are like they are, and that's why the passion purples and pinks and all this stuff are all flowing. Everything has direction, significance for these colors here, except for I feel they went well with all these other colors that we had going on.
I would agree with you.
And here's the other thing too, is back then we didn't have the internet, okay? So when we were building a vehicle, well, in my opinion, I was building vehicles, I wanted them on the covers of magazines. The one thing about magazines is they usually do not put black vehicles on the covers of magazines because they don't photo well. That's why when you see my truck on the cover of Truck, and the photo is from the rear of the truck where all the color is.
I'm not a painter, and most people aren't. So when I see something like this, I don't have the first idea of how much work goes into doing something this creative. Can you kind of give us a rundown of how this comes to be, you know, how it goes from an idea to actually spraying it and making it look this good.
It takes a couple minutes.
Yeah.
This truck, we did the process. This was a black truck. This roof is still factory GM paint with GM clear on it. I didn't repaint the roof, nothing. That is still factory paint. So we did get rid of door handles, got rid of the antenna.
Which goes, remind me where exactly that goes from the factory.
About right in here.
Okay. I wouldn't even be able to tell. It looks amazing. So shaved handles,
Yep.
rid of the antenna.
And then on the side, just it had the trim along the doors, and that was it. There was no other, we did no other body modifications on the side until you get to the rear. So we did all the body work, and then we painted the truck back black. Okay, so when we started, all the graphics, everything was black. So now all of this work is done in layers. You want to start with what layer you're going to do next. Well, so the truck was already black, and we knew that we were going to have all these hard to do checkers, and they were going to have edges on them. Okay, so what we did is we went through and laid out all the white and sprayed all the white first. Okay, so all this was done. Then we cleared the side with a inner coat clear. It's basically like a clear base coat.
Okay.
And the reason we did that was to help get rid of the edges from the tape layout. Okay?
I gotcha.
We were very cautious on how much paint we sprayed on it, so these edges would be thin, but they were still there. So you clear it with clear base coat, you knock all that down, and then you go through and you tape your design of these checkers and cover all that up. So these checkers stay covered up for the rest of the paint job. Now you go through and pick which do it all in layers now. Spray your pink, spray your orange, get everything done, cover all that up, and then go back in and do your gray.
Okay.
And then do all the texture inside the gray.
Yeah, because that's one thing I was going to point out. I'm going to do a detailed video of it because you can't really see it from over there. But there's detail in the gray, and if you look closely too,
Yeah, it
you
goes
got
over
even,
the checkers.
which
to
make
give
it look like a waving flag.
Yeah, just the idea was to give everything a little bit of movement and shadows. So to give it dimension. So then what happens is you sand this, let me back up. You get all this laid out, untaped, masked, it's all ready to go, you clear it. Then you sand your clear, and then you go in and do all your pinstripes with a paintbrush by hand.
Wow.
Little Bill did all that by hand. After that's done, you clear it again, whole vehicle, and then you sand it and buff it. And the goal is, as you can tell, you can't feel any of this. It's all buried under clear. That's a right paint job. When you can't feel it, you know, no tape edges, no rough lines. When you look down the side of it, you don't see all those tape lines.
Okay.
That takes time and layers and knowing how to work the materials work.
Right. And so talking about time, this goes in a booth. You know, obviously you're doing the work. You know,
This had a group of guys on it. This is a unique truck that it was painted in 24 hours
wow.
with 5 guys.
And that's not a regular paint job. Like that's
No,
literally that's a lot of work to do.
There was Christopher Dominguez and Little Bill and my uncle and me, and I don't want to get into naming everybody because I'll miss somebody, and I don't want to be rude about it. But it wasn't just me.
Yeah.
There was a whole group of people, but it was done in 24 hours because we started painting this on a Thursday, and Saturday I drove it to Richmond, Indiana for a car show to debut it. So I drove it with the clear still wet. You could smell it when we got there. That was a Saturday afternoon.
And like, you know, I like that story because we were kind of talking about it before. You know, you've been in this for a long time, so you've probably met some really good people throughout that entire process. And I think that's something that not enough people in the car culture and truck culture like really think about, but some of the connections that you can develop just from having the same passion, you know, I'm
been
sure
amazing.
You can attest to that.
Yeah, in the story of me getting this back, so many people that I had met 20, 30 years ago and not stayed in contact, but we all had respect for each other. If we see each other, say, hey, what, you know, but, you know, they're across the country, help me arrange to get this thing back to me and be involved in getting it. So between that and the business owners and the customers, just the people that we meet from all different walks of life in this line of work and traveling to all these shows and going to SEMA for multiple years and things. It's been a great experience. And a lot of those people I consider family.
So I think that on top of just having a truck, car that makes you happy, I think it's important to realize, like I said, you know, being a part of a hobby that can connect you to other people that
this isn't just a hobby, it's a lifestyle.
Right.
The people that I've met and friends I've made, like I said, some of them are almost more family to me than family. And that goes for a long time. Like I said, this was high school I was into this. I'm 52 years old now. So being a true mini trucker back then, when you didn't have the internet, you didn't have cell phones, you had to really rely on friendships and communication. It's pretty crazy to think that we traveled all the way from here to Lake Havasu, California for a car show back then before there was internet. You know, how the hell do you even know about that?
Right. You know, listening to that, I could, you know, be like, yeah, I would do that. But then like people that aren't into this wouldn't have the
no
slightest
clue.
idea. They're like, why would you go out to some random town just, you know, for
a big show for us is Camp and Drag. We go there and camp for 7 days to do a car show, to just sit here and look at things like this and just do what we're doing, talking and shooting the shit with people. But those are my best friends. We all come from different walks of life. We all have so many things going on in our personal lives. You never know what anybody else has got going on. But when you get to, and I hate to call it a car show because it's so much more than a car show. But when you get to that gathering, all that stuff goes away. And you get to be you, and you get to be with your friends and family and just relax. And you can't do that at a lot of hobbies. And a lot of hobbies, you know, it's how much money do you got, how, you know, who's spending the most. Obviously in a custom car culture, it looks like that also. You know, who's got the biggest bank account's got the best vehicle. Well, nowadays it's getting to be like that.
A few recent years, I think that's what it's kind of turned into, unfortunately. So in a way, I'm jealous. I'm jealous that you got to do
to experience it before all that was a thing. And people are going to look at me and go, well, you just said this was a brand new vehicle and you did all this just like they're doing. I don't disagree. It's just a different time. It's not the same, but it's the only way I can afford to get something and do it.
Right.
I totally, you know, now, like you and I were talking earlier, this isn't just a matter of buying a vehicle and getting a lowering kit and some wheels and throwing on it and saying, all right, cool, we're done.
Right.
You know, I mean, we got full interior, everything, and this was all done at one time. I didn't stretch this out over multiple years like everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people have to. I got fortunate I was doing this for a living at the time. If I had to do this now, there's no way, no possible way.
Right.
I couldn't afford it. I couldn't afford to build a vehicle of this caliber in current day. It's not in the cards.
So something that you just brought up that I want to dive into, because there's a lot of cool stories to this truck and all the little pieces to it. Nowadays, if somebody wants some forged wheels, a lowering kit, a cowl hood, I can just go online, order it. But I know that wasn't how it was back in the 90s when you built this. For example, this hood, this is a hood that, you know, you probably had to know a specific person that was making it. What can you tell us about that?
Well, this hood came along right after I built the truck. My great friend tarried along from up around Fort Wayne, had a company building fiberglass hoods for different kinds of vehicles, Dodge trucks, Chevy trucks. This happened to be a hood he wanted to do for the OBS and asked if I wanted to put it on my truck. We worked out a deal and it happened to be the first one. The one thing about this hood, back then, the original hood, the flat part of these scoops were carbon fiber exposed, and then from here down the rest of the hood was black, like it is. And there's carbon fiber throughout the whole interior and everything, and there was in the engine bay also back then. So he made these hoods, and I think made 50 to 100 of them. Very rare. You had to know somebody, but just so happens Jegs used a picture of my truck with this hood on it to sell these hoods, so it's in every Jegs catalog ad, still even to this day. Even though you can't get these hoods anymore, there still seems to be an ad for them.
What was the story with the hood behind this? Because you built the truck, And I think you said within about 6 months you swapped it over to this one. The previous one is the one that's hanging up in the office, right?
In the office, yeah.
Did you want to change it simply just to stand out, or?
Oh, absolutely. Well, first of all, Terry is such an awesome dude. He has a great product, and I knew it was something that was going to last, and I wanted to promote a local guy and help wherever I could also. But this was also at a time where parts for these trucks were getting very popular. And with that being said, my paint job, I had you might see later, there was a graphic painted on one side of the hood just to match these. And it was good, but it was kind of plain to me. I wanted something to, once again, this hood gives the vehicle movement while it's sitting still.
Yeah.
So, and it was different from just a regular cow hood, which is really all that was ever available. Because they were real flimsy, they never fit right, everybody had them. At the time, this was so far out there that, you know, people had a hard time understanding it, really.
No, I love it. It's a real aggressive look. And then obviously you got the scoops that make it look real good, but they lead down to this, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is a Vader grill, correct?
Back in the day, they called them a Phantom grill.
Phantom grill, okay.
Yeah. And so a company called Stoll Industries made this grill.
Okay.
They are no longer around. Pretty much all the parts on this truck, those companies are not around anymore. This grill was what I like. I did not want to represent Chevrolet. They didn't sponsor me in this vehicle. So I didn't want, if you notice, there's no Chevrolet emblem. I just don't want to supply that. So this grill was made without a Chevy emblem.
Okay.
This was, at the time, was the only company that was making a grill without a Chevy emblem. So that, honest to God, is the reason I steered towards them.
Yeah.
I love the Phantom look with the headlights hidden. You have to sink the headlights back a little bit to make this work. But my big sell was it was a fiberglass grill, and we knew how to deal with fiberglass. My uncle's a whiz on fiberglass.
Okay.
And it already had the Chevy emblem gone. So the grill, if you had a Chevy emblem, had a notch out in this lower billet piece and this upper piece, which would have been very difficult to just shave the Chevy emblem. You'd still have these two notches in the billet grill. So when they come out with this one, without the billet grill, this was a full, or without the Chevy bow tie, it was a full billet grill piece. So that's what sold me on this grill.
And then you got the matching
Front bumper.
Front bumper down here, so it looks, you know, uniform with the grill, and I think that looks awesome, man.
So they had options of where you could get this grill to go all the way across, no fog lights, or one piece grill all the way across. And so there was a few options, but Sir Michael's made this front bumper back in the day, and it was this and the roll pan and the taillight fillers and things like that that I got from Sir Michael's when I built this truck.
So this is not just an insert, this is the full bumper you had to buy.
That's correct.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, to have the fog lights recessed in and with the dish, with the billet pieces, but it all bolted in the factory location.
You just schooled me because I wouldn't have guessed. Like, I thought that was just an insert. I didn't know that this was a complete bumper. And then a blacked out amber lights on this side.
Yeah, so I didn't like the way the amber colored lenses looked. I thought it broke up the front end, so we smoothed all the lenses and then painted them black and just took the lights out of them.
Another detail that I noticed is you don't have windshield wipers.
In my opinion, windshield wipers on a vehicle, they never flow and look right. They mess up style and design. I just don't like looking at them. I've left them in the bed of the truck or under the back seat, and these billet pieces are made to go over where the wipers are. It cleans it up, ties a little more billet pieces in. It makes it where I don't have to look at windshield wipers, because I just don't like the way they look on a windshield.
Now that we're at the back of the truck, I want to start off with something right down here. What's the story behind the pace car
license plate? This is a true Indy pace car plate from 1996 off of pace car number 6. No, I don't have it registered to the truck, but I still leave it on there all the time. Having a true pace car plate and not a replica meant a lot to me, and 96 is the year of the truck and the first year it went to SEMA. Just kind of sentimental number thing. It worked out cool.
Multiple meanings to
multiple meanings. You know, there's only one of them. I thought it was pretty fitting for the truck to be pace car plate. I got it on an auction. A local auction house is controlling all of the Indy 500 things that they're selling off, and I happened to, at Earl's Auctions online, I happened to be the high bidder. A couple other plates. One says Indy. It was a pace car plate also, but it just not official. But it was for one of the runaround vehicles that the 500 had. It just says Indy on it. And I'm pretty happy. That's a hard one to get to.
Now, is that a billet
license plate frame. Yeah.
There's one thing I love. It's how many billet parts you actually have. Oh, wow.
I have a trailer
Sweet.
hitch on
See,
it.
like you were saying earlier.
I tell people I tow a trailer behind this thing. I've had a 6x12 enclosed trailer with a golf cart, all our camping gear, everything behind this. I towed a jet ski from here to California and back when I had it originally. That's why I never put the 454 SS mirrors on the truck, and I left these big Dumbo mirrors on it, everybody calls them, because I towed a trailer.
Going from this plate, I want to talk about this right here. For those of you guys out there, that is a Mexican plate. Talk about the story behind that.
In a nutshell, quick story. I sold this truck in around 2000. It went on to another owner. Missouri was the last place I knew. I'd been looking for it for quite some time and no luck, had friends looking for it. I wasn't on Facebook or any social media or anything. My kids kept talking me into joining Facebook. So finally in January of 2018, I joined Facebook and just started making some posts of, hey, has anybody ever seen my truck? Trying to find it. In May, somebody just randomly sent me a message and said, is this your truck? My cousin has it in Mexico. With that being said, it was all hands on deck to find out who, what, where, when, how we're going to get this. And there's a long story on a podcast, Our Lifestyle Podcast, episode 77, that documents the whole story of from the time we find it to the time we get it home was 13 days. There was a crazy roller coaster of events, from trying to get the money there, not speaking the language. Everything is really time-stamped on Messenger, WhatsApp, things like that, because I didn't speak the language.
Right.
So it was a really good, crazy story. But at the end of the day, we found it, we got it back, but it was not easy. It came from Monterey all the way back to Indianapolis in 2018.
So this truck's traveled.
It's
been
around.
a couple places. That's pretty cool.
And it has right now has 93,000 miles on it. I bought this truck, or leased this truck, brand new. Drove it straight from the dealership to my shop with 80 miles on it and tore it apart. All 93,000 miles are like this, with this paint job, this bodywork, everything. The paint job has never been redone, and it shows its bumps and bruises. It has them, but it's been to Mexico and back.
I think considering the life that this truck has had, the places that it's been, this is about as clean as it can get.
I'm super happy.
Yeah.
I'm super happy. It could have been way worse. I really thought, looking for it, that somebody was going to send me a picture of, look what I seen in a junkyard, and it got a tree growing out of the engine bay or something, you know, and a primer door on it, and I just really always thought that's what it was going to be.
Now, since you bring that up, I got a question. If that had been the situation, would you have still gotten it back and just redone it again?
Most likely.
Yeah, because I mean, either
Most
way,
likely.
it's like you found it.
It's still the sentimental, and getting to share this with my kids and my family and my wife. I've remarried since I've had this truck. We get to have a blast of this thing, and I'm at a point in my life where I can really enjoy this a little differently now.
Right.
So
you sold it year 2000.
Yep.
Got it back 18 or 19?
2018, May of 2018.
So 18 years went by, and then thankfully nothing changed about the truck. I mean, for the most part,
nothing major,
but nothing that you couldn't, fix or
I can
change
deal
back.
with.
Yeah,
I mean, all this stuff that we did has never been redone, and to get these bones back and to see all this original paint, I won the lottery in my opinion.
That's a long time.
Right, and for it to hold up, not even just still be here, but still to hold up. I mean, the guy I sent to pick this up in Mexico said when he jumped in the truck to move it, the steering wheel was so hot it blistered his hands. Because it is a solid billet steering wheel and had been sitting in 120 some degree heat for who knows. So that really did some damage to the fiberglass stuff that was exposed, and that's the only thing that's been repainted on the truck is bed cover, hood, grill, and front bumper. I'm
surprised he didn't burn his hand. I'm from South Texas, so I know how hot it gets out.
It was, I was on the phone with him, FaceTiming at the time he did that, and his phone actually quit working because it overheated. Us up here from Indiana, I didn't know I was like, what's going on, man? I need to know about my truck.
Yeah.
And he couldn't do anything because he had to put his phone in his truck in the air conditioned so he could talk on it.
And another thing, I'll say this too. So like in South Texas, wherever they had it, they must have put it under, you know, something to protect it, because in South Texas, pretty much every truck that once it's, you know, 15, 20 years old, yeah, the clear coat's gone on it. And this one, I mean, it still looks amazing.
Showed me some photos of it, and it was in like a garage area under a roof and stuff, but they had chairs around it, and they were eating dinner. On the top, there was a cat sitting up here, and it was Mexican food all around. This was their picnic table. The only thing I could say is it just seemed to me like somebody got it that treated it like a Corvette, drove it on some nice weekends, kept it inside, but it wasn't a prized possession, but it was a nice possession.
Right.
They didn't destroy it, but it's got bumps and bruises. Yeah.
What's the story on this bed cover?
The one again, the old school parts from the 90s. This company isn't around anymore either. It's just a fiberglass cover for the OBSs that stayed low on the sides and didn't come down real far and didn't have a lot of height in it. A lot of the bed covers back in the day, when they made them the fiberglass, they were thick. Well, they would go up and get to the bottom line of the back window. They were so tall.
Right.
And I just didn't like the way that looked. It changed the body lines of the truck.
Right.
And so this company here, and the name is escaping me at the moment that made it. The name's escaping me at the moment.
But basically, I can't go out and
You couldn't go buy another one of these. Same with the roll pan. See, these are the taillights made in here now. We got rid of the original taillights, so we're up here.
Right, okay.
And so this is all made. And then the tail light, this reverse light and brake light and turn signal, is behind these slots in this roll pan. Well, this is all welded in because this is normally where the bumper would be.
So these, you know, I don't know much about it, but this is an actual, is it a metal?
Yeah.
This is metal, so
Yeah,
it's
this
got to
is all metal. It's been all welded in.
welded in, and then
body work. Like the door handles, now they make kits to pop them, like you do your car lock buttons, okay? They make those to pop doors open. Well, back in the day, that was hard to find, so we reused my factory GM unlock lock solenoids and rewired them to pop the doors open.
Okay.
So if they ever went bad, it was a GM part that I could go get. You know, nowadays you can buy a kit for that. But
So we've worked our way around the entire exterior of the truck, talked about the details and parts and wheels and everything. There's still something to talk about.
Yeah.
In here, you know, you really went all out. You've got the interior done too, and I want to kind of go piece by piece to really show people the amount of time and effort that you put into this. So why don't we start with the dash? There's a lot of billet parts here. Are these all made by the same company?
yeah, actually everything except for the steering wheel. But there's pieces all around all the gauges, all around the dash insert, even down to cover the heater box, the bottom of the glove box, the ashtray is covered. This is all made by Empire Motorsports that is no longer in business. They made all my sill plates. Everything in here was something that they made as a piece or a kit that you could buy from them for this truck and setup. And I also had, at the time, that was, I guess, one other thing that didn't come back from Mexico, is I had a lot of billet and carbon fiber parts on the engine bay, and all those billet parts were by Empire also, meaning windshield washer tank, overflow tank, covers for my master cylinder and my computer boxes.
And like right now, you know, with the OBSs, people are remaking some of these parts, like the like the foot pedals.
Yep.
Those are coming back. One thing that I don't think I've ever seen is this right here. That stands out. That's sweet. I hadn't even noticed it until I looked in here earlier.
And it has a Chevy bow tie on it. And the only reason, that is the only piece on this truck that has a Chevy bow tie or anything on it, is at the time, getting this ready for SEMA, that was the only one they had that they could send me at the time that still would, there's lines machined in it, okay? Well, same with the back of the mirror, same with the sill plates. It all had the same theme all the billet parts. See how they all have the 3 lines? Everything has had a theme.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was the closest thing they had at the time, and I couldn't go without.
You got the theme, the upholstery, the same as the exterior done on the inside right here. Who did this work for you?
Well, all the tweed and custom interior and the carbon fiber, we made carbon fiber pieces and gave to him. All was done by Trent from Trent's Trick Upholstery in Baltimore, Ohio. Longtime friend, but you know, he did this a long time ago. This has not been redone. It has not been retouched. He's never worked on this since the last time he did it. But prime example on the dash, I let him have free reins in the interior of what he wanted to do. Well, this dash originally is a rounded dash, but it had 2 cup holders here. Mm-hmm. And it really threw off the shape of the dash. And so he reshaped the dash and got rid of those cup holders.
You've got your headliner done as well.
Yeah.
You've got some carbon fiber up here along with more checkered stripes and then colors. And then we're sitting on seats that literally match all that.
That's correct.
The door panels all match untouched.
Everything was taken out and redone. The only thing in here, I believe, that would be stock would be the carpet and the plastic part of the dash. Everything else has been touched.
Right.
This is a one-off billet center console and the headliner. I'll be honest, I can't even remember the company that I got it from. Conversion vehicles and vans back in the day were real popular to have all this wood grain interior with TVs and lights and everything. Mm-hmm. Well, this company started making a couple pieces in billet. So I wanted this overhead billet center console, but I put my air ride switches and gauges in here. Mm-hmm. So this is my front, this lifts my front, and this lifts my rear.
Cool.
And you lower it.
I've never seen something like this. Like you said,
I've never seen anybody else do it.
Yeah. So
and the other thing you probably don't know about, but there's these holes. Mm-hmm. So the back seat has holes in them. Well, there used to be 4 12-inch speakers in the bed, mm-hmm. and 2 of them fired through that hole, 2 of them fired through this hole. Mm-hmm. And the speaker boxes were lined in mirrors, and I had white neon tubes inside the speaker box that lit up and shined off that, and they shined through these holes and lit the interior up. So they also had sound coming through them, but then the top of the boxes in the bed were clear plexiglass, and you could see down through into the speakers from standing outside the truck with all that, and it lit up the bed also with all the neon.
So that's one of the things that just didn't come back whenever you got a hold of it again.
And same with the bed interior. Trent did all my friends at Audio Barn did the stereo, and MTX sponsored and did all the stereo equipment. So everything in the bed flowed just like it does here in the cab. Everything you see and hear, all these colors, all the patterns, he did in the bed also. And the original steering wheel is gone. We're trying to put a replica together, but he basically had taken 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch black and white leather checkers and sewed a whole wrap that went on the billet steering wheel, and it was a wheel that matched my wheels on the truck. But you talk about the steering wheel was insane. The amount of work into 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch checkers, the whole wrap around the steering wheel. When we did this truck, we just had some amazing people involved. It is not just me. I just happened to be in the middle of all this and be the one that everybody's talking to, but I couldn't have did this without all the people that were involved with me. This takes a team of people to do this.
Right.
You know, and not everybody worked for me or with me. They were friends. Some of them were competitors.
So now that we've talked about picking up the truck, brand new, putting it together, the details that, go into building something like this, you took it out to shows. You took it out to SEMA, you said twice?
Yep.
What was that like? Building this, did you have the intentions of taking it out to SEMA?
This was originally built to go to SEMA in '96. My first year at SEMA was '95, out there with an Indy car for Firestone, and also a truck that American Sport Truck Association did in '95 that we did some work on. I went out there for the first time. Now keep in mind, I graduated high school in 1992. I'm young, experiencing things that I have only heard about. This is obviously pre-internet, so you just heard about SEMA and maybe a couple photographs. Mm-hmm. So we went out there with Firestone, and I got to make a lot of connections. That's where I met really a lot of people that were involved in this project. Going out for the first time, when I was out there with the Indy car, I started meeting these people and saying, hey, I think I'm gonna build something to bring back to SEMA next year. Would you be interested in helping out? So I got all these connections made while I was out there. So I called them and said, look, I'm gonna go buy this truck. I got a rendering. Would you be interested and have a spot for it at SEMA? Well, Sir Michael stepped up and I got the parts from them for, front bumper, roll pan, things like that. And then they put it in one of their spots in the front door of SEMA, right outside the front door. It was the first vehicle. It was backed up to the glass. It was a killer spot. That was 96. And then that's when Truckin' Magazine asked me to take it out to LA right after SEMA. And that's where they shot it for the cover of Truckin' Magazine. And it came out the May of 97, because back then it usually took about 6 months after a photo shoot to wind up in press.
Right.
But the big thing was I wanted it in the month of May because of the Indy 500. Everything is racing related.
Yeah.
So the month of May, Indy 500, boom, this came out on the cover of Truckin' in May. That was the first year, and then MTX took it back in 99 with the weld wheels, and they put it in their booth inside SEMA. And then when I got back from SEMA, that's when I sold it.
95, that was pretty crucial for getting inspired. Being there, it inspired you to, hey, you know what, I want to put together my own truck. And then you acted pretty fast on it.
I did, because those damn magazines that we would wait for every month to come in the mail were so inspiring back then. And then going out there and seeing it firsthand and like, wait a minute, this is a whole nother spectrum that I never had any idea about. It drew me to it fast.
Because I'm thinking about it. This is my first year at SEMA this last year. I went to see it.
Yeah.
And I'm putting myself in your shoes right now. And it's making me realize, like, wow, like he moved fast. Because I couldn't imagine trying to like put together something like this in such a short amount of time. To get the idea and say, I'm gonna do it, and have it happen in 1 year, it was tough to do. Yeah, that's hard. Especially when I didn't have money. I didn't come from money. I didn't have money. Like I said, I tried to buy this. They wouldn't sell it to me. They leased it to me, but they wouldn't sell it to me. I had to just do what I said I was gonna do, and got some people to trust me and believe in me, and it worked out. I got lucky. I got real lucky. We had to do this and fund it ourselves while we were trying to make a living. Like I said, I'm only 3 years out of high school. My dad and uncle fortunately had developed a good business, and it was we were heading a different direction. I just got lucky. I really did. On top of SEMA, there's been a couple photo shoots and magazines that this truck has been in. Several. I want to go ahead and show people some of the stuff that you still have. Most people, they probably couldn't find these magazines if they wanted to, and you still own some of them. There's some hanging up in the wall. Yeah. Let's go ahead and show people what that looks like. Like the hood, the original hood we were talking about is hanging up there. That has literally been laying around since the day I took it off the truck. Many people always say, why are you dragging this stuff around? Why? And I'm like, it's just memories to me, like the different magazines that we've had, and plaques made of, it takes a lot of wall space to hang all that stuff up. So they've just been stacked up in my barn. And so now the kids have, started this shop and have a place to display some of it. It's really cool that they even want to show any of that stuff. I think it goes back to what we said earlier. I don't think, people aren't really into cars. It's not something that they don't understand. My parents don't understand that. When I was going through the Mexico thing, they were like, what are you doing? Why? It's a truck. Yeah. Well, yeah, but it's really got a lot of me in it. A lot of heart and soul, and if anything really speaks about my personality is this truck. It's not just a truck that showcases hard work and paint, interior. It's now its own story to it. It is, right? Yeah. That's why I haven't fixed any of the dings, dents, scratches, things you see in it, because it's a story. I mean, and it's only original one time. The history of the truck in that time in my life means a lot to me, and especially to be able to share it with my kids, and also to see it coming back around and being popular now. Yeah.
I did find it at the right time. You know, it was a really cool time to find the truck. I was not in a position to be finding the truck and trying to get it back from Mexico. No, I was not prepared for all that, but I knew I couldn't let it go.
One of the main things that I do love about your truck, all the different trends and waves have come and gone, but to see something circulate back again and still in its true form from when it was, you know, new. Yep. It's really cool to see that and not just say like, hey, I just built this and inspiration from it. People draw inspiration from these times.
Like the air ride on it. Nobody had air ride suspension then. I was going out to California and seeing how they were doing it and coming back here and doing it. I got fortunate enough that we knew Firestone that made the airbags that happened to be in Carmel. So I could go there. Went there and had a guy walk with me through this warehouse. Feels like it was 1 million square feet, you know, of measuring bags, and they tell me how much weight they hold and how big they expand and all that. And that's how we developed the air ride on this. This wasn't a kit that you could buy. We made every bit of it.
Nothing about this had a blueprint to it.
No. The air ride switches I was showing you that lift the front and the back, those come off the side of an air ride seat off of a semi. The only electronics in my whole air ride system is the air compressor. Wow. I still run 1/4-inch airline through the whole truck.
It goes to show, you know, you wanted something done and you figured out a way to make it happen. Whether
it wasn't easy, and I didn't do it by myself, but I didn't give up.
Yeah.
You know, which is real easy to do. I just got lucky. I don't know how else to put it. I got lucky. I've been surrounded by some very good and great people.
Right. So what are we looking at right here?
This is the issue of Truckin' Magazine, May of '97. That was shot in the hills in Los Angeles. We went out to Los Angeles after SEMA in '96, and they shot this photo here for the magazine, did the full photo, the features.
And then over here we've got...
This is SEMA coverage in a magazine. This was really one of the first times my truck was seen in a magazine. This is April of '97, so they put, this is their SEMA coverage, and they put a picture of my truck in it, and then the next month it was on the cover of Truckin'. It is pretty crazy of some of the stuff I've stumbled across in boxes and trying to share some of my history with my kids, and seeing some of the, like finding this magazine was a shock to me. Like she dated a friend of mine from Kentucky, so I even know her, but like this is Chevy Truckin' Magazine, so it wasn't even Truckin', it was one of their sister magazines, so they kind of let the cat out of the bag, and then Truckin' put it on the cover. And then there's been several other magazines, I just don't have all the rundown of them. There was multiple of show coverage, like if I went to a car show, photographers, you know, took a photo of it and put it in there for show coverage, and there's been a lot of photos like that also. This was actually a cover of a magazine turned into a banner. So this is the cover of All Time Low magazine for Battle in Bama 2020, and they lined up, got a bunch of vehicles from the past that were at the show and did this big photo shoot. Well, they wanted my truck in it, so we're in here, and that's me and Asa and my wife Anna. But all these are friends of mine / family of mine that I tell you that it's a lifestyle. Some of these people on here I've known for over 30 years. Most of these people are all from different states, and I do believe I'm the only one in there from Indiana. I mean, you got Louisiana, you got Wisconsin, Florida, Iowa. I mean, there's people from everywhere here.
And how important was this show? Because I saw this is 2020. Yeah. You got the truck not that long before that.
Right.
So
this was a big deal to be at the show, but also to be in this photo shoot. This photo shoot represents a lot of history in my world, in our world. So to be part of that was huge. To be part of this show, the following year they put me on the as one of the trucks on their t-shirts for the show, and on all their flyers and skateboard. You'll see another banner when we walk into the room here for this. It's a huge honor. That doesn't get to be many vehicles that do that. So, and as you see, everybody's a little bit older. You know, I mean, we're not talking, there's a bunch of youngsters in there. These are all guys my age that still are into this, still trying to, you know, just live the dream. Going to these shows and hanging out with these people is hard to put into words what it means. This is the logo that was on, or the print that was on the shirt also.
Okay.
But all their banners, all their skateboards, t-shirts, everything. This was one of the t-shirts that you could buy, and they had chose my truck to be on it. And you'll, when I keep saying skateboards, you'll see right here.
So there's a full skateboard deck right there. And then so this is the hood that you were talking about earlier.
That's correct. This is the original hood that was on Project Indy. So this is the original hood that was on the truck before we put the Terry DeLong hood on it. So the kids wanted to hang it here in their showroom. So I feel thankful that they wanted to do this and put a little memorable thing here. Here's a couple other magazines, and it says down here on this one, Chevy truck, November of 1998. This is the truck in May of 97 magazine. So this is all the pages that were printed, made into this plaque. So you've seen the cover out there, but this is the page that opened up. And you can also see here the speakers that run underneath the back seat. And then when I was talking about the bed, this is the bed of the truck with the bed cover taken off of it. There was two 12s here and two 12s here. And then this was just a carbon fiber panel that we put all the sponsors' names on. Mm-hmm. But then here is all the amps. And then you can see all the interior that went around with it. And there's the steering wheel before the checkers, but that's the original steering wheel that matches my wheels. And then the rest of these are just all vehicles that I've done over the years. This one right here was the first vehicle that we had in a magazine or anything that I was telling you that we did some lead work on, that went to SEMA. So this is done, this magazine is 96, so this was at SEMA in 95.
We are in a room at your son's shops. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
My sons, Zeke and Asa Bewley, have decided to start a shop doing mechanical work, some air ride stuff, trying to step into doing some of the things that I did in the past. So they have a shop in Clayton, Indiana, Bewley's Garage, and they have decided to take some of my memorabilia, things that I've done in the past, things I've been lugging around and keeping forever, and display them. And I had no idea there would be a response like we've got on some of this stuff. But there's several magazine cars and motorcycles and race cars and mini trucks that I did over the years that have been in magazines, and I have plaques of them all around, and they've decided they wanted to display them.
Really neat. I mean, look at this, guys, everywhere.
This truck right now is about done getting restored and will be debuting this year, hopefully at Battle in Bama. But it looks the same, but it's just been all restored.
There is a whole nother video we're gonna have to do where we actually go ahead and talk about all of these different builds. Today, the main focus was his own truck, but the fact that he's been a part of so many different builds over the years is just amazing. And this is not even half of it. This is nothing. This is pretty mild compared to what he's got. So we're gonna have to get together another day.
I'd love it.
That would be amazing.
I'd love it. I'd love to share some of his history that, let's be real, the younger generation that has the internet now didn't get to see what wasn't on the internet.
Right.
Okay, so if it's not still around, like this vehicle right here is most likely still not around. You're not gonna just run right around the corner and see it.
Right.
So to have some of the stuff and share about it and share stories about it, I'd love to do it, to document it for people, and because I have had a blast.
Yeah.
I mean, this has been a great time. It's been a hard way to make money and make a living, but it's been a blast.
Right. So many memories to look
back at. I'll never be able to share them all.
Right. So we'll get together one day and do that, because I personally would like to hear more of these stories, just because I love this stuff. You know?
You breathe it. I see it.
And
you got the passion.
I think it's important, like you said, nowadays, if I make a post, that post can be online forever, and you could always find it. But some of this stuff gets lost.
Absolutely, it does.
And so it'd be cool to kind of understand like how things were for certain, trucks, cars, culture, all that stuff. and how it came to be. You know, like your truck, I already liked it.
Yeah.
But now that I understand the history behind it, I love it. You know, I think it's really cool, especially
appreciate
that you keep it the same. So, yeah,
The history means a lot to me, and sharing that and letting people understand that there's way cooler things to do out there than drugs and all there's so much negativity in the world right now. You could have so much fun in this and find so many what I call family members. It's real.
Right.
I mean, I've been living it my whole life, and I wouldn't be where I'm at if it wasn't for people that I've met along the way. And going through the battles in my life right now, I couldn't do it if I didn't have the people I've met.
I appreciate you taking time out of your day to kind of give me the rundown on everything that there is to be known about your truck. And I'm sure there's still other stuff.
There's still more.
All the stories that you probably,
Yep.
have of all these shows and places.
Traveling to them and being,
Yeah.
I mean, there's been some pretty wild stories.
So we'll go ahead and keep in touch and make a video happen on all this other stuff.
I think that'd be really cool.
I think people would really like that.
I'm in.
All right, man. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.